The Medang and Mataram Kingdom was a Javanese Hindu Buddhist kingdom that flourished between the 8th and 10th centuries. It was based in central Java, and later in East Java. Established by King Sanjaya, the kingdom was ruled by the Sailendra dynasty. During most of its history, the kingdom seems to rely heavily on agricultural pursuit, especially extensive rice farming, and later also benefited from the maritime trade. According to foreign sources and archaeological findings, the kingdom seems to be well populated and quite prosperous. The kingdom had developed a complex society. They had a well-developed culture and had achieved a degree of sophistication and refined civilization. In the period between the late 8th century to the mid-9th century, the kingdom saw the blossoming of classical Javanese art and architecture, testified by the rapid growth of temple construction dotted the landscape of its heartland in Mataram. The most notable temples constructed in Medang Mataram are Kalasan, Sew, Borobudur and Prambanan temples. By 850, the kingdom had become the dominant power in Java and later of its history was a serious rival to the hegemonic Srivijaya Empire. Historiography. In the early 19th century, the discovery of numerous ruins of great monuments, such as Borobudur, Sew and Prambanan, dominated the landscape of Kedu and Kewu Plain in Yogyakarta and central Java, has caught the attention of some historians and scholars in colonial Dutch East Indies. This has spurred the archaeological studies to uncover the history of this ancient civilization. The history of Mataram area as the capital of the central Javanese Medang Kingdom is also part of the historical Yavadvipa Abhumi Java, and the classical Javanese civilization. The Indians collectively called them as Yavadvipa, the Khmer referred to them as Shvir, the Chinese called them as Shapo, Chopa, Chawa, the Arabs called them as Jawiya Jawa, and Srivijayan referred to them as Bhumi Java. The native Javanese most often refer to the lands and country simply as Jawi, while the name of the Nagara is often based on their capital. The only foreign source mentioning Medang was found from the Philippines inscription, dated 822 Saka. There are no comprehensive written records that have survived in Java except numbers of prasasti written on stones or copper plates. These inscriptions most often recorded the political and religious deeds of the rulers. The most common theme mentioned in inscriptions is the establishment of Sema, and sometimes some portion of the whole of tax collected from the Sema land is appointed to fund the construction and maintenance of religious building. Nevertheless, some local legends and historical records, written on lontar, most often dated from later period, might also provide data and source to reconstruct the historical event. Native Javanese mythology and beliefs composed in the era of Mataram Sultanate, but probably originated from earlier period, did mention a semi-mythological kingdom named Medang Kamulan, which in Javanese translate to Medang the origin kingdom. The kingdom is mentioned in the myth of Dewi Sri and also Aji Saka. This is probably the remnant of native Javanese vague collective memory of the existence of an ancient kingdom called Medang. Therefore, the current knowledge of the historical Javanese civilization is derived primarily from archaeological excavation, reconstruction and investigation of ancient structures, especially Kandy, and also the discovery of ancient relics, such as Wonoboyo hoard. Stone inscriptions, most common, are mentioning about the foundation and funding of temples, which report on the political and religious deeds of the kings, or stating the lineage. The most notable are the Kangal, Kalasan, Shivagra and Balatung Charta, bas-reliefs in a series of temple walls with depictions of life in the palace, village, temple, ship, marketplace and also the everyday lives of the population. The most notable of the bas-reliefs found on Borobudur and Prambanan Temple, native manuscripts mentioning about the story of kings, their deeds and exploits, that somehow corrugated with accounts mentioned in stone inscriptions. The notable example is the Karita Parahyangan, reports and chronicles of foreign diplomats, traders and travelers mainly from Chinese, Indian and Arab sources. Kingdom's name. Initially the kingdom identified only through its location Yavadvipa as mentioned in Kangal inscription. The inscription mentioned Rakai Mataram Sangratu Sanjaya of Mataram. The earlier historians such as Sukmono identified this kingdom as Mataram, a historic geographical name to identify the plain south of Mount Merapi in central Java, roughly corresponds to modern Yogyakarta, Sleman and Bantul Regency. This is based on the locations where large numbers of Kandi were discovered in and around Prambanan Plain. The name Medang appear later in East Javanese inscriptions such as Anjukaladang inscription and Minto stone, Paradar inscription and some inscriptions discovered in Surabaya. As the result, historians tend to identify the Eastern Java period of this kingdom as Medang to differ it with its earlier Central Java period of Mataram. However, by examining the phrase in Anjukaladang inscription mentioning Kita Prasidaman Grakpa Kadatwin Rafiang Ta Imdan Ibu Mataram suggests that the name Mdan was already used earlier in Central Java period. The phrase Mdan Ibu Mataram literally means Medang in the land of Mataram, which means the kingdom name is Medang with its capital in Mataram. The court moved several times after Mataram to Mumrati or Amrati, Popatus again to Boom Mataram, Tamvlang, Wartagalu, and last to Watan. The name Mataram reappeared again later in the 14th century as one of Majapahit's province. Later in 16th century appeared the Islamic Mataram Sultanate located in the same area in Yogyakarta vicinity. As the result, earlier historian also named this kingdom as Hindu Mataram or Ancient Mataram to differ it with later Islamic Mataram Sultanate.